Hey there, in this course, I'm going to show you how to make Afrobeats from start to finish. We're going to look at how to make drums, how to make chords, melodies, bass lines, and even how to arrange your song in a very in-depth manner. For you to learn faster, I recommend you follow me step by step, after which you can create your own unique projects. Without wasting any more time, let's get started. So to get the best experience from this course, I recommend you get this resource pack from the link in the description. All right. It contains drum kits, high quality drum kits, loops, MIDI chord packs, and so much more that you can use to make much better and high quality productions. All right. So when you download this, it's going to be in a zip file. All you have to do is right click it. Then you come to an extractor. A lot of PCs do have self extractors, like Windows has a default extractor, okay? But you can use WinRAR or WinZip. It's a free program, okay? Extract it to the folder. And yeah, so you can see the folder. So all I have to do is just copy this folder, Control C or Command C if you're using Mac, okay? So I'm going to open up FL Studio. All right, so now this is FL Studio. All I have to do is come to where it says Packs right here. Right click it, click open, press Ctrl V or Command V to paste it. So it's going to take some time. And so you see now it's pasted here. And then when I come in here, my packs folder, and I just click this refresh or restructure, I'm going to just scroll down right here. SC2's resource pack. So you can see right here, here are the melody presets, which are VSTs, virtual instruments from FL Studio, choice of sounds to help you save time for picking out sound. These are all great choices of sound for making Afrobeats, bass. All right, you can just drag and drop chords. You can just drag and drop. We have for counter melodies, we have for lead melodies, we have for pads, we have MIDI chord pack, all right, to help you out with some ideas for chords. Don't worry, they're all in C major or A minor, which are relatively the same thing. Then we have high quality drum packs, okay? You can see we have high quality drum loops. Then we have drum rolls, we have one shots, kicks, hats, percussions, rims, all high quality sounds, transitions, shaker loop. These are my go-to sounds when producing, so your production can be just as good as mine. All right. And also in the download folder, all right, there's a file, a template which would help you out in arrangements when we get to the arrangement section of this course. Okay. So this will be very helpful as well. So it's a very helpful pack and I recommend you get it. After installing your packs, we're going to create a simple drum rhythm, okay? Now, when making Afrobeats, there's a range for the tempo. The tempo is how fast or how slow the song is. Typically, in Afrobeats, you usually find the tempos from within 90 BPM up to 120 BPM. If I were to scroll this, take this all the way down to 90 BPM, you see how fast this is called the metronome. It's a click track. You can see how slow it is. When I take it all the way to 120, you can see how relatively fast it becomes, right? So depending on the vibe you're trying to create or the mood you're trying to set, you either want it slow or fast, all right? So let's say we start from around 105 BPM. So yours may not look like this with the kick, the clap, that's fine. You just need to bring out the channel rack and you can do that by simply clicking this icon right here. It toggles the channel rack on and off, all right? And we just open up our pack. The first thing we're going to need is a drum kit, okay? Which is already pre-installed in the packs, okay? You just come right here where it says rim, snare, and you can make a pick from any of them. These are all high quality sounds. So I'm going to pick this. Just hold your left click, drag and drop on your channel rack, right? So you can see it right there. And if you want to audition sounds on your channel rack, you can always, when you left click this, you can always see the waveform. Or you can turn on your keyboard so it works like a MIDI piano. Then when you hit Q on your keyboard, you can hear it, you can audition it easily, okay? So let's create a simple rhythm. Now in Afrobeat, there are two common rhythms. that generally give birth to many other variations. Okay, the first is this. Now if I left click this, you can see I can paint it in here and make sure it's in the pattern mode for now. So you can see, you can hear when you press the play button, you can hear the sound. So this is the first rhythm you hear in a lot of Afrobeat songs. This is the first rhythm. And if you make a mistake, you can always take it out by right clicking. So this is the first rhythm. Let's create a new pattern. You can simply come right here, right click, and create a new pattern. Find first empty or find next empty. You can just simply roll with your mouse, use your mouse wheel and scroll. Okay. And this is another common pattern in Afrobeat. So let's add a kick next, a kick track. A lot of popular music do have kicks in them. You can see we have a variation of kicks. So let me go with this for now. You can always change your mind later on if you do not like the sound of the kick or your rims. These are all changeable, okay? We have to do just simply drag another one on top of it or just drag another one underneath it. So, but let me stick to this. Typically, a lot of Afrobeat songs do have the kick on every 4 steps. You can see how fast paced it is. When I take it down to about 97 BPM, you can see how more settled this sound, right? So let's come to the next pattern. If I were to do this, if I were to do this is also another popular rhythm in Afrobeat, okay? So now let's take a look at how we can create variations in this, okay? Let's start with this. So I could start by simply taking out some parts, take this out. Or I could even do this as well. Adjust the kick sometimes. All right, and I could have this. This is another popular variation, okay? And if I were to come right here to this guy, and I could take this out, and I could even just have a single kick. A rule of thumb I'll give, all right, when trying to create variations is do not try to make drastic changes, okay? Try to stick with the rhythm and just make a simple decision. For example, in this, you could just decide to add only a single kick. Try not to add too many kicks. It may work out fine, but most times, especially since you're a beginner, assume you're watching this course, you're a beginner, keep it really simple. Okay, just add maybe one, just stick to making a single change or two, but do not go beyond that. Okay. So we already have a simple drum pattern and this one right here. So now we're going to add some percussions, okay, because a lot of Afrobeat songs do make use of African percussions, okay. So in this folder right here called perc, these are all percussions, okay. A variety of percussions, high quality sounds, all right. Start with this, and I'm going to limit you to just using 2 percussions for now, okay, so that it's much easier for you to understand. Now, a guide for using percussions is you want to avoid it landing with the kick as much as possible. Okay, if you have just a single percussion, please avoid it landing with the kick so that you have more rhythm. Okay, so if it's just a little bit away from the kick line, for example, you can see this is the kick, right? If you have it right here with the kick, it's not going to have as much rhythm as when it's just here. For example, when it's here versus when it's here or when it's even here. So you can see in Afrobeat, rhythm is everything. Okay, so you have to be careful with your percussions. And even if I were to have my kick drum all the way, now I would just have my percussion somewhere here. That could work. I could have it here. All right, so I'm going to stick with this rhythm for now. Okay, and while we're picking two different percussion sounds, you're also going to play not more than two notes. By that I mean, if you're to have another one here, you can add another note anywhere else. Okay, it's just going to be two notes per percussion. Don't forget to adjust your volumes. You don't want your percussions to be overly louder than your kick and your rim shots. You just want them to be there, audible enough to support your drums. So let's have another percussion. Okay, I think I like that. So let's have another one. Remember, we're trying to avoid the kick. So I can adjust the volume as well. And I think this is still a bit too much, even though I said just two. Let me reduce this a little bit and see how it sounds. Perfect. Okay. So you can see in this point, I only just use one, and here as well, it's just one. You could prefer using two, it's fine, but try not to go beyond two so you don't make your drums too busy. Okay. You want it to be simple. So let's come to the other drum track. Same thing, avoid the kick as much as possible. Then we can have another one right here. Let's see how it sounds here. So the next one we need to do is layering. Layering is just you playing the same notes with a different sound to give it a different feel. Okay. So you can layer your rim shot with a percussion or another rim shot. Okay. Or you can even layer your percussion with another percussion. But let's layer our rim shots. A common choice is layering rim shots. Okay. So it sounds more interesting. All right. So I'll just use this and I'm going to drag and drop and I'll simply copy. Right click, then come to copy, then paste right here. If I turn it off, and when I turn it back on, you can see it makes it sound a bit more interesting. Let's see how it sounds with our initial drum pattern. So I'm going to copy the rim as well and paste it right here. Sometimes you want to adjust the loudness of the sound you are layering it with. You don't want to be overshadowed or overshadowing the original sound. I just want a perfect blend, kind of like mixing paints. Okay, you want it to be well balanced. So I'm reducing this a little bit. And sometimes you don't need to have it running all the way. You could take this out and maybe take this out. I think I'll go with this rhythm, okay? Because it's still playing the exact same notes, only that just a few are missing. So now we're going to add percussion loops, okay? And a popular percussion loop is shaker loop or a shaker loops, all right? So in the sample pack you download, you see different variations of shaker loops. Here is our drums. Now we can add them to the channel rack and use them exactly as they are. We still need to do a little bit of tweaking. Okay, so we're going to just use the playlist feature. If you can't find the playlist feature, if maybe yours is closed, you can simply click this icon, this first icon right here. It's going to toggle it on or off. All right. So now we're just going to make sure this is showing pattern one. If it's pattern one you're working on, make sure showing the pattern of the channel rack you're working on. Okay, so you just simply dump it and make sure it's in bar mode. Dump it in the first box right here. Okay, click this magnet icon, make sure it's in bar mode so that it's very accurate for you to count and move things around. So we just want 4 bars. This is one, this is two, this is three, this is four, okay? And change it from pattern mode to song mode by left clicking song, okay? And you can always switch back to pattern mode by just clicking the part icon, which is pattern mode. All right. So now let's use the percussion loop. Just drag and drop one. We'll use several to see how to use them. And when I play it, it won't sound like it's perfectly on tempo. It sounds a bit out of beat, okay? And it's very easy to fix. All you have to do is double click it. You need to come up with this window, okay? And to do that, you can see if you count, there are just 2 boxes, which means 2 bars. It's 2 bars for it to get filled up. All right. So you just right click this time icon and click 2 bars, not 2 beats, but 2 bars. Okay. And make sure you change this from resample to stretch. And then we listen. You see now it sounds so much more accurate. And if you want to loop perfectly, you can just left click it and then click an empty space, and it's going to have that perfect loop. All right, so let's try another percussion loop. You can see this is almost 2 bars as well. Some may extend into 3, so you may need to toggle between 2 and 4 to see which will fit best. So let's try 2 bars. Same thing, stretch. All right, so we just loop this. All right, so that's pretty much how to use shaker loops, drum loops, or percussion loops. All right, now let's make chords. So you come to the melody presets from the pack, and then you can see there are sounds for chords already organized as stock plugins from FL Studio, default plugin in FL Studio, but some of my favorite sounds from the plugins. All right, then we have some counter melodies, lead melodies, which will come to pads and all of that to make it easier for you to train your ears on the kind of sounds you should look out for when trying to make Afro beats. All right, so we're going to just start really easy, okay, and stick to just keys. All right, so now we're trying to create chords. All right, so when you right click this, go to piano roll and make sure you're in a new pattern, okay? So that you do not collide with what you've played earlier in your drums, all right? Creating chords, this is the piano roll. It looks like a typical piano if you've seen a piano keyboard before, or you can just Google it up, all right? We have the white keys and the black keys. If yours aren't showing the complete name C, D, E, F, you can just come right here, come to view, and then you can come to um, keyboard styles, make sure it's in modern keyboard labels, make sure it's showing all the notes, and it's going to display everything. Okay, so now this is where it gets interesting. Making chords is really easy. Okay, we'll stick to the 1-3-5 formula for now, which is for making triads. Okay, so if I were to drop something on this. Now we're going to ignore the black notes for now. We're going to focus on just the white notes. That's if you're a beginner in playing music, making music, or just new to instruments in general. Okay, we're going to stick to the white notes. It's called the C major. Okay, C major scale. All right. So we're going to stick to the white notes. Just stretch this out right here. Okay. Please make sure you're using a quarter beat in the piano roll. Okay, it makes it easier for you to move around. So this is going to be our 1. And if we ignore the black notes, only focus on the white notes, this will be 1. This is 2. This is 3. Remember 1-3-5, right? This is 4. This is 5. And when I play it, you can see it sounds pleasant. So that's basically what a chord is. A chord is when you combine notes that play together at the same time and they sound pleasant all together, right? It could be 3 notes, it could be 4 notes, it could be 6 notes, right? There are many ways chords can be made, all right? But 1-3-5 is the basic every producer or every music maker should understand, which are triads, all right? But now let's step it up a notch. Now we know what triads are, all right? Let's look how to make major sevenths. Okay, this is major sevenths is now 1 3 5 7. All right. Now still counting the white notes. Let me make this bigger. You can there's a notch at the top right of your screen. If you left click that, you can make things bigger or smaller, all right? So let's make this bigger so you can easily see it. So this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and this is how a 7 sound. And this is how a triad sound. You can hear the difference, right? All right, now let's create a nines. Okay, this is 1 3 5. Okay, 5 6 7 8 9. These are a nine sounds. So a progression is simply when you move from one chord to another, okay? And your chords can consist of just a simple triad or a seventh or a ninth or even a special chord called suspended, okay? So this is a triad still. So a suspended chord is just when you move the third, remember 1 3 5, right? So you move the three to the second or the fourth, okay? Because this is 1 2 3 4 5. And if I move this down, this becomes sus2 or suspended 2 chord. And if I take it up here, this is becomes suspended 4 or sus4 chord. Right, this can help add some tension, and we'll see how to use them shortly. All right, so this is a simple chord. And now this is how you make chords. Please feel free to rewatch this again to understand. So you can always right click to take them out. But now let's look at how to make a progression. Okay, you can start from anywhere. You don't have to start from C. Okay, for example, I could start from F. All right, and I could build my 1 3 5 once again. 1 2 3. Anywhere you start from at first will always be your 1. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, 1 3 5. I'm going to start simple first. This is 1, then move to the next. Please make sure your chord covers a bar. Okay, this is bar 1. All right, please make sure it stops at 2. All right, so it makes it easier for you to follow along. So then let's move to the next. 1 2 3 4 5. Now this is a progression because we move from one chord to another. Okay, let's see. 3. Please, we're only using the white keys. If you come here, if you see a hashtag beside this, it's called a sharp, right? If you see a sharp beside it, you are off key already, okay? So for now, we'll stick to just the white notes, okay? And then you could allow this to run through to make it 3, okay? Because we want it to be in 4 bars, okay? This is 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bars, 4 bars. Please, when making popular music, especially Afrobeats, you either work with 2 bars or 4 bars, all right? For your chords. Most times you want to be 2 bars or 4 bars, all right? You could stretch out the last chord, that's fine, or you could just make another chord. Still the 1 3 5. So this is how you put together a simple chord progression. So now we have a chord progression. Let's see how it sounds with the drums. You can just paste it right here on the playlist and come to song mode. You can hear that, right? It sounds way louder than our drums, so we're going to reduce the volume. Remember, a little bit of balancing does help. Now it sounds a whole lot better. Okay, we can hear the drums clearly and we can hear the chords clearly as well. Let's see how we can make these chords more interesting. So the first thing we can do is playing with the rhythms. This arrangement is fine, but you can play with it a little bit by reducing just two notes back, okay? Holding your control or command if you're using Mac and left click to highlight them, okay? And then you can do this, reduce this as well. Or you can just use your select tool right here and just highlight. And if you can't resize from the back, please come right here, this drop down, come to where it says edit, and then click allow resizing from left, okay? So it will allow you to resize from the left. And when you play this, how it sounds now. So you can see it gives it a different kind of rhythm, all right? Gives it makes it sound more interesting. So you don't always have to do this, but this can help make your chords sound more interesting. And another thing we can do to make our chords even more interesting is playing with the sevens and nines we made mention of earlier. Now we're not going to use them everywhere, although sometimes it may make sense to use it everywhere on your chords. Sometimes you just need maybe one or two chords to have that variation. So let's see how it sounds. This is our 5, 6, 7. Let's see how a seventh will sound here. All right, so let's see how a seventh will sound right here. So you need to do a little bit of try and error, okay? Sometimes a ninth may not fit in context with your progression. You may try a seventh, and sometimes trials are just fine. That is as it is, all right? You don't need to force it in. All right, so now that we've added a little bit of spice to our chords, you can also move them within different octaves. For example, you can say this says F5, all right, A5, and the likes. Now, holding command or control down will take you to a lower octave, which make it sound like this. Makes it sound a bit more bassier, okay? Because you took it down to a low octave. And if you want to take it to a high octave, command or control up. Sounds tinier, okay? I think I prefer it when it's down here. So feel free to always toggle this when after you play a chord to see, because it may sound better elsewhere, okay? It may sound better on the lower part of your piano roll or on the higher part of your piano roll. So do try it out before you switch out sounds, all right? Now we have our chord progression. I'm going to show you another trick you can use to make it sound even more interesting. So if you press Option if you're using Mac, or Alternate if you're using Windows, then S. That is S for snakes, okay? So this is going to pop up. Yours may just look plain. Make sure you click on preserve end, all right? And you can adjust the time. You can see the time at the bottom of the screen. It's called velocity, right? You can see there's space. We want a little bit of space like that, not too wide like this, but just a little bit like this is fine. And this strength, we don't want to create a melody like it may sound fine, but we don't want that now. So we just want a little bit, okay? Just a little bit. Okay, then we accept. And the next one to do is alternate and X, like X-ray, okay? So it makes it sound a bit more chilled. So you may adjust this to depend on instruments you're using. Some instruments may need you to go all the way down, okay? So it sound more chilled. But I'm just going to have this right here. Then I'm going to increase the volume of the instruments. Don't worry if the volume gets low, just come back here and increase the volume. All right, so let's make this even more interesting, okay? Now I can highlight this, so you can use your selection tool, all right? And just highlight everything like you're trying to pick out files from your window menu, okay? And then holding shift and your left, you can drag it all out. Or if you can't do that, just command B or control B, okay? And it's going to have everything copied out, okay? So now what we're going to do is, now this is longer for the playlist. You can see this looks longer. I'll have to just highlight this and also control B or command B, okay? Now we're going to create a little bit of variation here. Remember, I talked about suspended chords earlier. Okay, so we're going to create a suspended chord by reducing this halfway, having this right here. So you can see the flow. Let's listen to it completely from the start. You can see it made the progression sound a whole lot more interesting. So now we're going to make lead melodies, and lead melodies are typically the melodies you hear that catches your attention the first time you hear a lot of Afrobeat songs. So if you could go back to listen to some of your favorite Afrobeat songs, there's usually a melody that keeps repeating and that just sounds so catchy. All right. Sometimes they can be pronounced, sometimes they're not as pronounced, but they're there 90% of the time. All right. Referring to the pack, you can simply come right here where it says leads, okay, because this is a selection of quality sounds from FL Studio stock plugin library. All right. That will save you a lot of time in looking for them. So we could pick any of these to your taste because each of these will create a different feel for your production. Okay. For example, we have acoustic guitar, we have bell sound, we also have another bell sound. Now, and a guide I'll give is when picking out sounds to make your beats, especially for melodies, is they should not sound too similar. For example, this bell sound distinct from these keys. All right. You don't want sounds that sound like they're too close. You can almost mistake them for each other. Definitely, it's going to make your beats sound too narrow and not enough character and to sound wide or big where you like it to be. So you want your melodies to have some distinction. The chords, the bass, the lead melodies, and all other types of melodies. All right. When we right click, we're still using the chord pattern to build. Okay. When we right click, go to piano roll. And if you can't find ghost notes on your piano roll, you can simply come right here where it says help us. You see ghost channels. Or if you can't see this option, just simply press alternate and V if you're using Windows, or options and V if you're using Mac. All right. So here are our chords. Okay, so now let's try to create some melodies. Now I'm going to restrict you. Okay, please, first of all, remember you need to be in a quarter beat. Now I'm going to restrict you playing not more than 3 notes per bar. Okay, now this is a bar. This is another bar. This is another bar. Okay, for example, if I were to do this, right, this is 3 notes already. I can't add another one, even if it sounds good to me. I won't add another one. Do not go above 3 notes per bar. You can play just one, right? Or play just two. All right. And that's fine. I mean, never play anything at all. There's some melodies that do not occur that frequently. Okay. Some melodies are a bit more spacious. Okay. They're a bit more scanty than some. All right. So, but do not go beyond 3 notes per bar. That is the first step you want to take to make your melody sound simple and catchy. All right. And the next one to do is I want to stick to these gray notes for now. For a start, okay, we'll stick to these gray notes, these ghost notes, because they're from the chord and to guide us to create really decent melodies without much stress. So I'm going to come right here. I could start from here. I could start from here. And something to consider when making Afrobeat melodies, you do not always want to have your melodies locked into this thicker black line right here, because there are some lines that are a bit thick. You can see them. They're relatively darker than others. You don't want them to be locked there consistently. If not, it will sound like it's lacking rhythm. Okay. Instead, you want them to be within the bars, okay, within these boxes. All right. Maybe sometimes you may have one that just happens to fall in here. It may sound fine, but the others should be away from it. All right. So now let's create a melody. let's come here. Really easy. Okay, feel free to toggle this. Sometimes you may want this to be down here, it may sound better down here. All right, you may adjust them. All right, you may like that. All right, so feel free to move them around to see which fits best. Okay, and you don't always have to start from where I started. You could start from here. Okay, you could start from here, you could start from here. Okay, I just happen to like this position. If I didn't like it, I would have changed it. All right, and now let's see how we can make it a bit more interesting. Now we can borrow from incoming chords. You can see this guy is close to this chord, right? This note is close to this chord, so I could borrow from this and make it this, and this side to sound versus both are fine, but this just adds a little bit of spice to the melody. And I could do this because I'm borrowing from the closest chords. Okay, if your notes are too far, please do not do that. It may not sound as good. Okay, you could see this is just on the same line with this is on the same line with this, and they are quite close. Okay, so now let's create something called counter melodies. And if you come to the pack right here, we already have a fine selection of sounds for counter melodies. Okay, let's just pick. Now we already have a key which kind of sounds close to an electric piano, so I may not want to use an electric piano for now. So let me use a grand piano. Right, so to make counter melodies, it's really easy for Afrobeats. Maybe spread it out a little bit to see how it sounds. Then do the same thing right here. Then same thing here. And you could keep stretching out the notes depending on how much of it you want to hear. I think I would like it to stay a bit longer, so I'm going to just extend it. All right, so I could just copy this here, since they're essentially the same thing. All right. So this is one counter melody. We can even add another counter melody as well. So let's bring in another element. Now we already have a grand piano sound. So let's bring in maybe a synth. Let's see if it sounds like anything. It sounds quite close, so I'm going to ditch that. Okay, this sounds more differentiated. Now for our second counter melody layer, we could do this. Now, not all counter melodies need to be in chord format. Some could be in melodies, okay? And you want it to sound like it's communicating with your lead melodies, all right? And an easy way to do that is you could just identify, for example, if I zoom in, I could see I have a lead melody note right here, I have another one right here. So I could just place it where there's space, maybe here or just before, just where there's space, right? So let me reduce this. So it doesn't sound like it's colliding with my lead melodies. Keep doing that. Okay, let me take this note right up right here. All right, it could be as simple as that for your counter melodies, okay? Now, the next melody we're going to look at is the ambient melody, okay? So we're just going to come right here. It says ambience because these are melodies that fill up the background, okay? Let's see. Okay, let's have this. So you can be a bit more free with this. You don't necessarily need to dodge anything here. You could just place it in a place that feels more interesting. So maybe if I have it here, and I could take it to a higher octave. But let's paint out some notes first. You have to be careful how long you let the notes stay, okay? Sometimes you want them to be short, sometimes you want them to be long, okay? So you just play with the length to see which fits your production best. So let's take it to a higher octave and see how it sounds. Okay, so let's increase the volume a little bit. Now we don't want to be too obvious just in the background, but we should be quite audible as well. All right, that's fine. Now let's add another one here to search. Okay, let's try this. It could just occur even more scanty. Let's take it to a low octave. Okay, let's try this. So take this down to a low octave. Reduce the volume a little bit. And now we can add pads, okay? Pads just help lift up the feeling of the beat, give you more of that chorus feel, okay? So I could just, pads are quite easy to use. Just copy your chords and paste it in here. We may need to adjust the octave. Let's take it higher. Control up or command up. Let's try something else. adjust the volume. A lot of times parts can be quite loud, so you need to take down the volume so that it sounds kind of like it's in the background, but at the same time it should be audible. All right, so that sounds good. All we just did was take the octave up. Sometimes, let me show you a trick. You can just double it up, right? Holding shift to pull it out, okay? And then have it like this. So it gives you a little bit more weight. Now we're going to make bass lines for our Afrobeat production. Now in Afrobeat, there are different types of bass lines that have become popular over time. All right. Now we to show you how to make these different types. And now you don't have to use all the types I will show you in your production. Sometimes you may use just one or two. All right. So you don't have to use all, but it's best you know all of them. Okay. Now here is the bass section. Okay. Right here. So I could just, you can pick any of this bass, right? So let's see how this sounds. So this is a percussive bass, okay? It's mostly used in the verses because it adds a lot of rhythm and it complements the drums, okay? So let's bring another type of bass. So this is synth bass, okay? So let's look at the first bass. The first bass is really easy, okay? It's just following the root key of the chords. For example, this is F, A, C. Remember the 135 formula for making chords, right? This is G, B, D, right? Also 135. So you will just have it right here on the root key of each chord. And then this is also A, G, B. So that's also 135 as well. Remember, bass usually sound best within the third and the fifth octave. Okay, so sometimes you may need to bring it down to a lower octave to get it to sound like a real bass. Okay, but let's see how it sounds here for now. It sounds good there, but let's bring it down an octave and see how it sounds. We can barely hear it right there, so I think it's best here. So this kind of bass usually have it when a new section starts. It could be in a verse or in a hook, but it's most common in a chorus, in a hook, okay? Or you could even have it in your pre-chorus as well. When we get to arrangements, you see what a pre-chorus is and what a hook or a chorus is. So this is just one. So we're going to just clone this, copy this as well, right click, and then paste it here. So we'll turn this off. That is the initial bass. And the next bit we're going to look at is the chop bass, which is used to build a little bit of tension, okay? And usually find it halfway into a verse or halfway into the chorus. So you just to reduce this. So let's listen. So you can see it builds a little bit of tension, like it's about to end or it's about to lead to something else. So that's why I typically find it halfway into a chorus or into a verse. Now it doesn't have to be as big as this. Sometimes it could be chopped up even shorter. Or it could be like this. And you could just keep chopping it. But I prefer this for now, okay? I prefer this for now. right, so that's the second bass. Now let's take a look at the third bass, which is the percussive bass. Now it sounds, if you can hear it, it sounds like it's a combination of a percussion and a bass at the same time. All right, so you cannot play it like a melody, and I'm going to also restrict you here. Please do not play more than 3 notes per bar. Okay, so it could be less, but do not go above 3 notes per bar, just like the melodies. Okay, so I'm going to come right here. You always start with the root key, makes it easier for your bass to fall in line. Let's adjust the volume a bit, it's quite loud. So these are the common bass types you find in Afrobeats. Now we're going to build a structure for the production so far, and you can get this from the pack you downloaded. All right, this comes with it. So these are the common song structures you typically find in a lot of Afrobeat songs. We have the intro. There's this structure one, right? We have an intro, which usually introduces the song. Okay, doesn't stay too long, usually about 4 to 8 bars. Okay, then we have the verse or the chorus. This is usually 8 to 16 bars. Okay, then we have, if you pick the verse, then you move to the chorus. Okay, that's why there's a forward slash. All right, if you start with the verse, maybe you start with a 8 or 16 bar verse, then you move to a chorus. The chorus could be 8 or 16 bar verse. Okay, and then you move to the verse now. Okay, which could be 8 or 16 bars, and it will go back to the chorus, which could be 8 or 16 bars. Now you can keep extending it depending on how long you want your song to be and how many artists you want featured on the beat. And then finally it ends with a defined outro. Okay, now not all beats have an outro. Some beats sound like, from maybe the way the verse ending, it ends with the verse as the outro, ends with the chorus as the outro. I'm sure you've heard a few songs where the artist is still singing or the artist is still rapping, but the song is coming to an end, right? So those songs, they don't have a defined outro. Okay, there are a couple of songs like that. Then this is a second structure, right? We have the intro, we have the verse, we have the bridge. Sometimes, or a lot of times in Afrobeats, the bridge usually kind of works as a pre-chorus, kind of like introduces you to the main chorus. Okay, so it's still quite catchy, but not as catchy as the main chorus. Okay, so sometimes it could come before the chorus or after the chorus. Okay, so if it comes after the chorus, most times it will be a bridge. If it comes before the chorus, most times it will be a pre-chorus. Okay, sometimes it's a bit confusing knowing interesting a bridge and a pre-chorus, or it's not always black and white. Okay, sometimes it could be gray between what a bridge or a pre-chorus is. All right, so you just go, still move with the swap. If you move to the verse, then you go to the chorus, then you have the bridge again. Okay, then we have the third song structure, which is intro. Then you move to the verse, then you move to the chorus, then you move to the verse. Then we have a single bridge, then a verse or a chorus, then an outro. Okay. So the first three are very popular. You hear them a lot in songs. Then the last two are not so popular, where you just start with the verse or the chorus immediately, no intro. Okay. Just starts immediately with the verse or the chorus. Then it goes verse, then you go to the chorus, then you go to the bridge, then you go to the verse, then you go to the chorus, then you go to the bridge. After the bridge, you have the outro. Okay. Some songs also have where it starts straight up with the bridge. All right. So these last are not so popular, but once in a while you may come across them. All right. So I'm going to use structure one. Feel free to use between one, two, or three. Okay, since they're more popular, and a lot of songs you hear usually fall within these three. All right. So I'm going to use structure one. Okay. Intro, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, intro. Okay. Outro. So let's build. Now, to build that, first of all, we have to separate what we did or what we've done, right? So just right click this, then come to split by channel. All right, so now we're going to just drag this out. Keep dragging this out. Keep dragging this out. Keep dragging this out. All right, I think that's it. So now you can see this, and this seem like it's not complete, right? So all you have to do is just Control B when you highlight it, or Command B so that it completes it. Okay, so now it's all complete. So now we're going to highlight this all together. And we're going to move it as far back as we possibly can. Okay, there's no wrong or right here. Okay, just move it far back as you can. And now we're going to create the foundations. Okay, remember we start with the intro. Okay, so just press Alternate or Option T on your keyboard. Intro. Make sure your cursor, that is this green arrow right here, is at the beginning. Okay, and make sure you're in bar mode. All right. Then now let's make our intro 4 bars. All right. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now we're going to start with a verse. We want to go straight into the verse. Then let's make our first verse 8 bars. If you count 4, 8, right? So alternate C. So after the first verse, we have a chorus. I may call this hook sometimes, but it's still the same thing. I'm still trying to imply the same thing. So our first chorus could be 16 bars. Nothing wrong there. Then second verse. All right. Then after the second verse, we can make the second verse still 8 bars. Then second chorus. Even though the second chorus will still be the same, essentially be the same with the first chorus. Then second chorus is 16 bars. Okay. Alternate C. Then if you like, you can have a third verse. Okay. You can have a third verse. And then the third verse could be 8 bars. Then you can now have a defined outro. If maybe you came too close, you can always shift it out, because if you stay too far, you can't go beyond the highlighted region, right? So that's why we have to take it back. All right. So let's say after the third verse, okay, 8 bars, then we have an outro which will last about, let's say, 4 bars. Okay. Alternate C, they just call this end. So this is where it ends. All right. You can see the song is just about 2 minutes 36 seconds. Okay, if you click this, it will change to bar. If you left click it, it will change to minutes and seconds. Okay, so now let's start arranging. Now, what a lot of Afrobeat songs have from start to finish is usually the drums and the chords. Okay, so let's start with the drums. We just highlight it. Don't worry, we'll make adjustments later, but just have it from beginning to end. Okay, then you want your chords also from beginning to end. Don't worry, we'll change it. And then we want counter melodies to come in the chorus. Most times you hear counter melodies in the chorus. Okay, then highlight it and have it in the second chorus. Sometimes you hear the lead melody from beginning to end. Okay, and depends. Let's have it in the chorus only for now, because it's usually in the chorus, but sometimes you do hear it in the verse as well. But let's have it in the chorus. These are the ambient melodies. Okay, of course you have your chorus has literally almost everything in your production. Okay, this is it. And then we have pads. Yes, pads are always going to be in your chorus. Highlight it as well, have it right here. Then this bottom right here, the bass, will come to the bass later, but now let's listen to what we've done so far. Let's listen to the intro. So So let's make the intro a bit more interesting. Let's add parts in the beginning and see how it sounds. Let's take out the main drums. We want to try and create some motion. Okay, so it sounds like it's moving from up, down, right? It's trying to create that feeling of low energy to mid energy to high energy. Okay, now the chorus is obviously going to be the peak of the emotion. Okay, that is the highest point, the climax. Okay, so we're just going to build from the intro gradually into the chorus. All right. All right. So now that's fine. It sounds, you can hear the way the emotion starts from the intro started on a high, but the verse made it sound like it's calm. So halfway into the verse, I can bring in maybe, remember I said the melodic bass, right? That's the percussive bass. You could have that halfway into the verse. So let's bring that in right here. So you can see how it moves into the chorus, right? So I could have this straight line bass here. Don't forget to turn on your other bass sounds. So you can see how the energy just moves in a smooth way, right? It takes you from a low to a high, from a low to a high, right? So we can make the third verse a bit different by maybe bringing in the grand piano, that is the counter melody. All right, so let's bring in this bass as well in the verse. And then most times, a good way to make your outro sound interesting is that you can just quickly observe how your intro is, all right? And then maybe just get some ideas from there. For example, my intro sounds really minimal with just the pads, so I could have just maybe take out my drums. So it could be that straightforward when arranging your product. Just remember, you're trying to move the emotions up and down, up and down. Okay. So this is pretty much how you structure out your beats for making Afrobeat. This is the foundation. Okay. Now we're going to use drum rolls and sound effects to make our production sound even more complete, because a lot of Afrobeat songs you hear do use a lot of sound effects and drum rolls, and you can find lots of good drum rolls right here. Let's have the drum roll. So anywhere the verse is about to start, we'll have this drum roll repeating. So move it here. You don't want it to be all over the place, okay? This is just to introduce new sections anywhere the verse is about to start. So let's see how it sounds right here. So now let's have another drum roll to introduce the chorus. All right, so we'll have this right here. And if maybe your drum roll isn't fitting the tempo of your production, let me reduce the volume. You can just right click time. You can see it's almost at 2 bars, right? You can try 2 bars to see. Then we'll click stretch. Volume a little bit more. And then we have the same thing wherever the chorus is about to happen. Although this is an outro, but we can have it in the outro as well. But let's just take out the excess. Turn off your stretch if you have it on. So now what we can do is, we're not done yet, we're going to use some transitions. You typically find them halfway in a section or introducing a section, okay? So we could have it right here. Use the volume. So anywhere you have this, you can just have it there. This is another sound halfway in our verses. In our chorus, I mean, we can have this also. You can hear it sounds like it's staying too long, so you can just see this out button right here. You can use it to increase the fade out so it doesn't stay too long. So let's have something. So let's also have this just as the verse is about to start. And now the arrangement looks complete. So let's listen to it from the top and see how it sounds. So you're done making your beats. The next thing you need to understand is file management, how to properly save your beats so that you do not lose files. Okay. So we're going to open up your channel rack, highlight everything. Okay, make sure everything's highlighted, and then like just by double clicking, and you can hold shift to deselect any of the files you feel is unnecessary. Okay, but I think we pretty much use everything here. So I'm going to come to the mixer, command shift and L if you're using Mac, or control shift and L if you're using Windows, to link it all at the same time. Or you can just right click, come to channel routing, and come to route selected channels from this track, and you can see everything is all routed. And then when you're exporting, you come to file, you come to export wave, please export as wave, and then you create a folder for your beats. Okay, you can create a folder. I can name this beats. Then I can name this, maybe let's assume the name of this beats is Afrobeats course. The tempo is 98 BPM, and the key is C major. Okay, so you can copy that because you need that again, then paste it in here, click save, then make sure you click split mixer track, 32-bit floats. Okay, leave remainder, stereo. Okay, wave, of course. Okay, and then just click export. It may take some time, but you just allow it export. So when the files are exported, it will look something like this. So you can open it in any software, drag and drop in any software, and collaborate, record, mix, master. And you can, of course, you can always right click, add to archive, so you can easily save it on your cloud storage. I recommend using cloud storage, maybe your iCloud if you're using Mac, or I use Google Drive. All right, you can use any cloud service that you feel comfortable with. This way you can see it's on a file of about 1 GB to just 200 megabytes. You can see the difference. So this will definitely help you save more space. Okay, so now with this, your files are safe forever. You don't have to worry about a crashed PC, losing softwares, or bugs or viruses. Just make sure that you have this on your cloud storage, and your bits will always be safe. I hope you found this course helpful, and if you did, please send me some of your results to my email. I'll attach it in this video, and I'll give feedback to as much people as I can. And if you don't get feedback from me, please do not be offended, as emails may rush in. Okay, but I'll try my best to give as much feedback as I possibly can. I remain so classy. Cheers.